Hello, this is Dr. Anthony Bacevice, past president of the Academy of Medicine of Cleveland and Northern Ohio, and a member of the Academy of Medicine Education Foundation Board. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with my good friend and colleague, Dr. William Seitz. Dr. Seitz is the chairman of the Mini-Internship Program for Education and Events. He is responsible for one of the more important and successful and well-publicized efforts of the Academy of Medicine and the Education Foundation to explain to the public more about the life of a physician and how a physician practices, some of the challenges that affect them day to day. That is the Mini-Internship Program. Dr. Seitz, thanks for being with us today. Can you give us a brief overview of the AMCNO Mini-Internship Program that's been going on for quite some time? How long?
Well, it's been going on since 1989, so it's in its 28th year.
Right.
And it began initially as an attempt to have, in an organized way, physicians educate the community as to exactly how they spent their time, what their days were like, what their life was like. Almost it started out as a public relations campaign, if you will, but it very quickly turned into a two-way street where we also got a sense of what the community not only thought of us, but maybe had misperceptions of us, and also what they were looking for in doctors.
Our image, as projected in the media, in other forms, television, movies, and so forth, of physicians is not necessarily how we really spend our time.
That's right. I think that we've evolved from the days of Marcus Welby to actually very quickly being seen as scientists and almost researchers. But the fact is that we blend all that and are still both caregivers as well as scientists.
We are. Medicine is an art based on science.
That's right.
Always has been, and no doubt it always will be. How long have you been chairman of the program?
I've been chairman of the program since the early 1990s, about 25 years now.
So you have been virtually there from the beginning and help shape it and form it and so forth. What changes have you seen over the years? What have you seen happen to the program since the very beginning?
Well, I think the format of the program is still the same. What changes every year is the impact of what's going on in our community, what's going on in our country, how healthcare finances have changed, what the disease issues are that change with changing times. Everything from going from a period of time where we were more worried about certain diseases that we started to get a better handle on, such as diabetes and hypertension and heart disease, and have moved into other areas such as community violence and drug trafficking and so forth. So there are always new angles and new issues to be discussed, and they're front and center when people are on the front lines watching us do what we do every day.
So when you and I did our internships, that was quite a different ordeal. We got out of medical school, we immersed ourselves 24/7 almost in our education in the hospitals and the wards, learning what we do best. You are in orthopedic surgery, I am in obstetrics and gynecology. We spent our time doing that. What's the operational approach, or how do we actually do this in a mini internship? How do we communicate some of what we do to the people that participate?
That's a good question. In fact, what we ask our interns to do is to give up 2 full days of their lives, and they spend every minute of the 8 hours that they are assigned each of those 2 days working with us. And if we don't eat lunch, they don't eat lunch. If we don't stop for a cup of coffee, they don't get a cup of coffee. They see the high pace of what we do, they see the high tech of what we do, but they also see the high touch of what we do. That the physician-patient relationship is still very much alive, and that the laying on of hands, the holding of hands, is a tremendously important part of the science that has become so resourceful and sophisticated.
Can you tell us a little bit over the years who has participated, maybe not by name, but what kind of people participate as interns?
The interns that we have had have represented all aspects of our community, state, national levels of leadership. And by leadership, I mean these are communicators, either in the media, they're communicators in government, on the judicial benches. They're leaders in the business world, in the non-for-profit world. They're people who represent large groups of employees who need to get health care. But they're also, because they are leaders and because they have a high degree of visibility, they also have the ability to communicate with a large segment of our population regarding what doctors do, how we do it, and how we affect our community, and how our community and we can best interact and communicate.
Have you seen any big changes in attitude of some of the interns after they've gone through the program?
I think changes in attitude is probably not what I see. I think what I see is a different perspective that people wear on their faces, in their voices, after they've been through this. And that's on both sides. I think that the experience of the interns is such that when they go through this and they spend time with a physician talking to a patient or a family about end of life, about the diagnosis of a very difficult disease that needs to be encountered and taken on. When it comes to seeing someone in an emergency room come in a life and death situation and see what goes on to try to save that life, it's amazing. Their whole perspective in terms of what they were expecting to get out of this has changed. And invariably, both the physician and the intern wind up having a very new level of connectivity that they didn't have when it started.
Somewhat of an epiphany that occurs at that point.
Often, yes.
Now, the mini-internship functions by Academy member physicians being participants and,
Yes.
and hosting and sponsoring these interns. How successful has that been? What do you see as the benefit for the physician side of this? We can see, and you've demonstrated what an important impact this can make on the person who is the intern. But what does a physician get out of this?
I think the physician gets out of it a different perspective and a different degree of gratification than he or she ever thought they would moving into this program. What happens is that you are aware that there's someone in the room with you that maybe you may not think about on a daily basis. And you still do your job, you still interact with your patient, but at the end of the 2-day program, we have a debriefing dinner where the interns discuss their experiences and they point out some of the poignant moments that many physicians actually take for granted.
Take it for granted,
And
yeah.
you can step back and suddenly say to yourself, you know, that really did happen, and that really touched me. And it allows you to reflect on some of those moments that are really poignant in our lives, that because the next moment is just as important and just as high-paced, we may not appreciate.
I would ask you how would you, or what would you recommend for other physicians taking part in the program, but you almost answered that, because one of the things that it sounds like you get out of this is that very experience, so that it's a growing experience for the physicians, it would appear, as much as it is for the interns.
It is. I think it's like so many other volunteer programs that we don't necessarily often get to take part in, but when we do, we feel so rewarded by it at the end. When you just simply take the time to do a little bit extra, to educate someone, which is what a doctor's role is supposed to be.
That's right.
We know that we do it for our patients all the time, but when we're now really trying to represent our profession and do so with these community leaders, I think in the end, when you reflect on it, you really feel like you've done something good.
How can our physicians who are interested in participating communicate that interest?
Oh, it's easy. Basically, you can either go on our website or call the Academy of Medicine of Northern Ohio, Cleveland and Northern Ohio, and there's a place where you can sign up. We need 4 physicians for every intern. We get anywhere from 5 to 8 interns per year, and so that, do the math, it could be anywhere from 20 to 32 physicians that we need. The more the better, and I think the more we have, it always results in a much richer conversation at the end.
I could see where that definitely is the case. Dr. Seitz, is there anything else you want to add about the program? Anything that you'd like to bring forth to our listeners and our viewers?
I just want everybody to know just what a special event it is, how wonderful it is to get to mingle with these national and regional and community leaders and be able to talk to them about things that you are passionate about, and that you can have your voice heard too. But it's like, again, as I said, it's like many other volunteer opportunities. If you actually try it, you'll find you're much more enriched by the experience.
Fantastic. Gee, thank you for your insight, Dr. Seitz. We've been talking with Dr. William Seitz, who is the chairman of the Academy of Medicine's Mini-Internship Program. Thank you for your time this coming year. As always, these occur in about October, thereabouts, correct?
It's October 17th to 19th.
And that's in the year 2016.
Correct.
Thanks for your time, and thanks to all of you for watching us. I'm Dr. Anthony Bacevice. I appreciate your interest in what we do here at the Academy of Medicine of Cleveland and Northern Ohio.